pushed it.
Okay.
I'm not doing no fucking countdown. That's not authentic.
It's not. It's true. It
That
wouldn't
shit.
match anything else. It wouldn't match anything else.
Especially because when are we ever prepared? But anyways, hello! Welcome to our players only recap. Flannery's not allowed. He can't come in and see this.
It's not.
But
He'd soil it.
soil it. But yeah, seeing how it's been give or take a year since our season 1 of DARP ended and season 2 is just about to begin, we figured, yeah, why don't we just make a recap so if you just found the series, you don't need to watch through like 50 sessions worth of stuff, especially because some of the early stuff is a little on the rougher side in terms of audio and cast wise. But yeah,
Watch this. Watch the highlight video. You're good.
If you want to watch season 1, more power to you. You'll have slightly more context than you would get here, but honestly, you can probably get away with just watching this and you'll be good. So, do we want to get started with characters? Just the main characters, so we're not just, a bunch of nameless guys talking about like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that'd be logical.
Okay. Well, I'll start since I'm talking the most, but I am American Jake. I play Ayumi Hirano in... She is currently Slifer Red, and as you can tell by the name, Japanese. And she is the oldest of the group, and that she is 17 because... long and the short of it is, because of circumstances that had happened with her mother being killed, she ended up having to go through like the first grade twice just due to some sort of like clerical error. And yeah, she's a bit of a delinquent. Who wants to go next?
I'll go. Hi, I'm Saji. Don't look too deep into that name. I'm playing Oliver Watson. To start off, he was a guy that really wanted to be entertainer in ways to bring people happiness, put smiles on their face, because growing up he wasn't very well off. He was, quite poor with only his mother. And so, with everybody helping him out through life, he wanted to, in a way, bring it back in some form or fashion. He thought dueling might be the best way to do that. Some things have changed during the course of the first season to him, but we'll get to that in a bit.
Okay.
And hi, I'm Silver or Cole. I play the esteemed role of Jesse Henderson in DARPouts. Jesse is from the sovereign nation of Montana. He was raised to be the next heir to the Dungeon Dice Monster throne because his grandpa invented the game, then his mom was the champion, and he was pretty much groomed all his life to do that. But through the help of his dad, he realized, no, I don't want to play Dungeon Dice Monsters. I want to play Duel Monsters. And so he lied his way to get to the island just so he could do what he wanted to do, and he's just trying to figure out who he is and what he wants to do now.
Okay. And then there, unfortunately, like I said earlier, we did have a little bit of a casting revolving door, I guess is the best way to put it, just because unfortunately schedules didn't line up. We did have someone else. Just quick blurb about the character. He didn't really show up much beyond like the first 3 sessions. So, Greg, he was apparently the son of a cartoonist who had a hat that he kept sweets in. That was fun. And then we have one other quote-unquote main character who is NPC, but definitely more along the lines of like a main party NPC. Andrea Westmount, aka Andy, who is the adopted daughter of some very rich family. The Westmounts are apparently rich. I don't know. And I'm just gonna. This is gonna be covered anyway, but it's revealed that she is in fact some sort of hybrid dual spirit human thing, and there seems to be some stuff going on in her background, that some stuff is going on in her background that we'll get to that when we go for the plot overview. That'll be a lot better than her. But yeah, she is Yumi's roommate on the island, and yeah.
I mean, just her roommates too.
Yeah,
When at
that's
first
also
we kind
important.
of just snuck in. Now, before session 1, there was a session 0 that no one ever saw.
Yeah.
There's a blurb, but we'll give more detail on what the heck actually happened in there.
Yeah, so Basers sans Jesse, because Jesse was introduced a bit later. Like I said, revolving door for the cast, so didn't stabilize until session 6. And from there, Oliver won his duel, was able to get into Raw. Ayumi was forced a draw and for some reason was thrown into red, despite it wasn't the fact that she forced the draw, it was her opponent that did. And then Andy was dueling at the same time as someone else was, and there was something going on with her number card. She summoned a number card, which caused the stadium to kind of just freak out, power outage, shocking people, all that sort of stuff. And so the one who summoned the number card, it's like the anime, they're big things. That's something that we had never seen before, so went to go and see what's up with that, with the unconscious girl, and noticed that there was someone rifling through the in the room, rifling through her deck. And long story short, she called for backup, and then the backup was basically just there right as the cultist ran out, and then Ayumi just grabbed him, German suplexed him into the ground, and it is believed that the German suplex may or may not have caused the guy to accidentally bite down onto a cyanide capsule. Ergo, Ayumi is technically the deadliest of the group so far. But honestly, that was all. That is important information, but that's all that happened in session 0.
Yeah, that pretty much covers the main gist of it.
Yeah, I just had that all written down for my sake, since we didn't have it recorded, so that's why I just decided to run with it. Sorry.
As far as actually getting into the academy on the plane, on our way to Duel Academy, we had 2 options, going on a boat or on a plane. We took the plane. Met up with a couple NPCs over there, but on our way to the actual academy, there was some sort of very strong turbulence, which caused us and several other people to drop our cards, and subsequently, after the turbulence seemed to have stopped, all of our cards that we used at the entrance exams were missing.
And we couldn't remember them. That was a big thing that was pointed out to us.
No matter how hard we tried, just I can't remember what. It's I think it's we couldn't remember the cards exactly. I think we knew what deck it was, but not specific cards or anything.
Yeah, I think we knew the archetype, but not the specifics.
Yeah. So on our way over there, of course, we reported the incident to the, staff, we went to the car shop being like, hey, our decks are missing, so is there any way you can help us out with that? He gave us very, very trash decks to make up for it in a way, but to say the least, our cards were pretty much gone, so we're hoping getting them back. There was an NPC there known as Alexa that Ayumi pretty much challenged to a duel, saying, hey, you seem to be like some form of big deal. If we can duel each other, or if I win or win, could you like help us out, give us some DP? And let me finish. Alexa was like, nah, you can't. If you last like 5 turns against me, I'm like a triple S rank duelist on this academy.
Yeah, it was definitely.
They had a duel with Ayumi's garbage fire deck. She lasted the 5 turns, I believe, or like a round or something like that. And so we were given DT to upgrade from not having terrible decks, or well, as bad decks.
Yeah, it was definitely like. It was more so. I remember specifically Ayumi was just pissed off at Alexa because Alexa's all like, "Ha, you lost your decks, blah blah blah. I'm triple S rank, top of the class, blah blah blah." I was like, "Fuck you, I'm a duel you."
Yeah, there was always a case of like, I was a raw yellow, but because I lost my deck, I got demoted.
Yeah, demoted for that was annoying, but then immediately after that, Ayumi went and beat Alexa in a kendo match. Like beat Alexa pretty bad, and then moving on from that, because we had a couple days in class, but not much else. During those days of just class, it's discovered that Andy seems to have some sort of like weird problem going on with her. Like on the plane when we were experiencing the extreme turbulence that were potentially deadly, apparently, Ayumi noticed some black smoke coming off her, and when asked, no, she is not a smoker, she's a non-smoker. So we had to investigate. Ayumi went to investigate that, like, hey, what's up with that? And it was just met with dismissal. Like, oh, no problem, nothing. Even though that smoke seemed to cause her bad luck, ranging from just embarrassing shit to, like, actual bad luck, like nearly burning herself and stuff like that. So, yeah, that was a problem that we were looking off to. And Ayumi was getting worried about that. So, start looking into things that might be able to help with that. And that's when Jesse joined the party.
Yeah, I officially showed up. It was in the duel arena. I don't remember.
It was just outside because Ayumi and Oliver were dueling, and Ayumi got pissed off because Elle sold her a defective deck, even though she paid full price for it.
And I was able, and Jesse was able to see the smoke as well, but Jesse not really having any friends growing up or interacting with people really growing up, he didn't really know what to say to hang out with these people that were suddenly talking to him. So he just blurted out that he has no friends and he would like to hang out with you guys, and they're like, haha, I like this one. And that's how he officially joined the party, I guess. From there we went to see a Swami to try to figure out the mystic ghost stuff, who turned out to not be a Swami, even though we were told she was. And we're like, because we're like really rude. And we're like, "You're terrible at your job." And she's like, "I'm a fucking librarian." And we're like, "Oh, oh, what, mate? Oh, fuck, my bad." Well, at least me and Oliver were like, "Oh, fuck, my bad."
Well, Andy was not happy about us going to a Swami and not telling her. And then,
yeah,
because we were trying to figure out what was on with the smoke, and she got mad, and then the Swami got mad that we were trying to find out about Andy without telling her, because we were afraid that by telling her, the smoke might affect us.
yeah. Also around that time, or around the island, people were like losing like duels and like, or like not necessarily doing, but like the result for like the duel would say like no victor, and there's like no proper explanation for that.
Yeah, passing out, losing cards, that shit.
Yeah, so it's, you know, presumed to be like someone going around doing bad things around the island.
Yep. And during all that, we decided, like, hey, let's go and explore the old abandoned well that people throw cards they don't want into. You know, the well from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. So we do, with full party plus an NPC who honestly doesn't really show up all that much, Melody. And, well, when we're down there, we find, one, the well is a maze. It's got a bunch of branching paths, like it's more of a maze than a well, which is weird. But the one we go down to leads to a big open room where Ayumi saw a sword in the wall, but it was way out of reach, and it was just left like, it's basically the RPG thing where you have to come back to it later when you have the grappling hook. But yeah, there's a room full of gems, like weird, like crystalline gems that you could easily break off, and Ayumi got one, looked through it, and that's how she was able to see the sword. She looked at the gem. And then Andy took it, and it kind of electrocuted her and made her pass out. It was bad. And because she was being electrocuted, you know, she's kind of screaming in pain, which alerted some hooded cult figures, like, and they came to attack us, and like, we're already like, okay, we gotta fight, get our way out of here. And then, but that's when our resident pervert, Damien, a slave for Red, shows up, and it's like, yeah, I'll just hold them off, you guys get the hell out of here. And so we did. And then we could all just more or less see dual spirits at this point.
Yeah, it was around this time where we could all see them.
Mm-hmm.
Without any like issues or whatever.
Yep. Next is a big thing for Jesse, so you want to go for that one?
Yeah. So shortly after exploring the well, we had decided to check out. I'm sure if you've watched Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, you know about the abandoned lab.
Image right here.
Yeah.
Image right here, as I'm pointing to. In this lab, it looked like an ordinary lab, but upon further investigation and whatnot, it eventually like took us into like I guess sort of like a computer world. It resembled more of like a dungeon prison more than anything else. In which, upon exploration of it, and figuring out various puzzles along the way, we were able to meet this person named Leah, and Leah is a computer programmed girl that was at one point alive.
I'll help you out here, Cole.
Please.
She was modeled after I believe a director of the lab's daughter who died in, I think, a car crash. So it's basically like the Kyla.
It's like Noah.
It's like Noah from original Yu-Gi-Oh!
Okay, so it's pretty much female Noah, but not like a dick. and she's like, "Oh, I'm stuck in here," and Jesse's like, "Hey, you really don't have to be in here. Like, you don't have to be stuck in this dark, depressing place. You know, real world's fine." And eventually, not immediately, but she did come out and came into the real world.
Mm-hmm.
I guess after that, there's more things of no Victor showing up. You know, because there was very on and off where like incidents of that happened.
Yeah, but this was like a big event because it happened to like an NPC named Wheeler who updated our PDAs in a way to give us like an alert. So when he became a victim, our PDAs like buzzed, like sending like some type of GPS leading us to him. We ran over to him, found his unconscious body, and we're like, what the hell happened here? And learned he was a victim of the No Victor incident. But during that time, there was something going on with our NPC friend and Andy.
Yeah.
Where, smoking problem became very serious.
Yeah, we need to stage an intervention. She had gone off to the lab on her own, but as we were going there, apparently there's some like really sharp spider webs in the way, which, you know, a little unusual. Spider webs aren't usually sharp. So, well, we get to the lab with our good buddy and resident NPCs. One of them, our like upperclassman dorm mate Nick. He is a third year red, and who has up until this point just been kind of like just a side joke character. And then we had a person who had up until this point been stalking Oliver, named Kyla. She just kind of showed up later, but she showed up pretty immediately after, so it doesn't really matter that I put her in here. But yeah, they come along with us, and yeah, Andy's like on the roof of the labs and telling us like, go away. She's sorting it out, and we're like, nah, fam. There's sharp ass spider webs. We're going when we came here to get you. We're getting you. And then we went into the lab. Yeah.
Look, Wheeler's in a coma and there's sharp spider webs. You're on the... Something's happening and it is not normal.
Exactly. And so we go into the labs, which had transformed into basically Mirage of Nightmare, the actual card. So it was basically Dark Room of Nightmare. It was basically a hellish torture chamber. And we had to fight some fucking Shadal constructs, or whatever they're called. I don't know if they're actually Shadal constructs or not.
Different forms of the Shadal archetype.
Yep, different forms of Shadal archetype that you can probably see here. But, yep, Jesse and Oliver were having trouble with theirs, so they ended up having to throw in the Fate card, which basically just allowed them to yeet themselves out of there. And then Ayumi was able to beat hers, but later came into trouble with another one, but I'll get there in a minute. As we're going through, we are shown memories from Andy, which reveals that, one, that mother of Ayumi's that was killed, apparently was killed by, well, she was killed by Andy, technically, but it was more so the, Shadal, Andy, which is, Andy is being, big reveal here, Andy is Winda, the Wind Charmer.
What a twist!
And Shadal, Winda, is the one that killed Ayumi's mom. And she also killed Jesse's dad before being, like, mind-wiped by the Millennium Ankh. And,
yeah, I'll just go into a quick little thing about that. So Jesse had known that his father had died, but he wasn't really told the details of what. He just knows he was killed. Like he wasn't like too young to remember or anything, but like he was just never really told the truth. And what he had seen was his mom had communicated with one of the dual spirits. Almost positive it was a Shadal dual spirit, but I don't remember if that was confirmed or not. But and like they talked about it, and she had arranged the dual spirit to take his father's life, in which obviously was successful in doing so. But we also saw when he was like defending himself that he had the power of the Seal of Orichalcos with him on his side that he was using. And it was also yes, and a number card. And then shortly after that was when Jesse got his first, not really his own dual spirit, but a dual spirit for him which was Legendary Fisherman. Now, a little thing about Legendary Fisherman was that Jesse's original deck was a water deck which had Legendary Fisherman in it, which was a gift from him from his father, his late father. And that card, Legendary Fisherman, I guess his dad entrusted a lot of information into it to pass down to Jesse, because I guess he was able to sense that his end was coming near, or in case one of those, like, in case something happens to me, I want this to be like said and whatnot, in which it was like all that was revealed to Jesse, and then later on he brings up some more important details, but we'll get to that when it's relevant.
Yeah.
As for the vision that Oliver saw, it was a vision of Andy in her dual spirit form, her past life, giving prayer to her goddess, and subsequently getting killed in the process. And as her body was decomposing at a rapid pace, we see strings pretty much take over her corpse and take form to the Shadal window that we go up against.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, up until we learned specifically that it was Shadal Winda that did the murdering, Jesse and Ayumi were like all aboard the murder Andy train, but then once we learned that it was Shadal, that got redirected towards Shadal. And so we're basically going like, all right, we're gonna fucking kill Andy too. All right, we're gonna save Andy and kill the fucking Shadal. But then the party got split because doors, and like that's literally the best explanation I can give it. We had random doors show up and we just had to go through. Jesse got split off to where he found a bunch of diary entries, like in the heart or in the mind, not physical diary entries, but like it was never really explained that well, but I assume it's like, mental notes from Andy, where it's like, yeah, I'm just gonna say I'm sorry about all this and I'm basically ready to die because I feel guilty about stuff even though I didn't do it. And that whilst Jesse's reading through those letters, Ayumi, Nick, Oliver, and Kyla are in this big cathedral-looking building with a bunch of like Shadals that are more humanoid, and some big fucker who's I really can't remember. He was apparently like a high-ranking member of the Shadal Society, and basically was saying, "Hey, Ayumi, if you kill Andy, yeah, that'd be pretty good, right?" And basically, Ayumi was having none of that, and so she ended up dueling him. Had to use her fate card because unfortunate reasons, and in the the result was that she gained the card number 16, Shockmaster, and made a contract with it. And that has really never come into play except for maybe one time, but even then it was a minor thing. And then we got the Andy, who was like basically in a crystal trying to do something that was never really explained. But Ayumi's like having none of that. It's like, I'm getting you out of that crystal. And broke the crystal. And then Jesse went to duel Shadal Winda, because Shadal Winda appeared once the crystal was broken. Or took over Andy once the crystal was broken. Oliver got strung up by some of that that spiderweb shit, but it wasn't sharp. It was string that was just tied him to the ceiling about like a ridiculous high ceiling. And then Jesse's dueling it. He's getting pushed back pretty hard. So Ayumi jumps in. And then Ayumi just kind of like, just because with the two of them, they were able to win. And then Shadal Window was basically just banished back into Andy's mind for the time being, which was like a day or two. Not taking over, but, not able to take over like physical things, but able to make herself present. And that was our, as we call it, the Rescue Andy arc. I didn't miss anything, did I?
I think that covers just about everything.
Oh yeah, Shadal
During,
Winda. Right, Shadal Winda. Jesse's favorite Leah, without a hat. Apparently, Shadal Winda killed her parents, her mom or something.
Also, during the whole excursion, it was learned that Kyla had the Millennium Necklace. The Millennium Necklace said, "Nah, I want this guy," and Oliver then obtained the Millennium Necklace. Yes, that Millennium Necklace.
Yeah, I knew I was forgetting something. Thank you. Okay. Then after that, we kind of just had a brief time skip of like 2 weeks, maybe a month, where we basically just went off on our own, did some dueling. Nothing too strenuous.
Yeah, because previously, that entire, what we call the Rescue Andy arc left a lot of, I guess, like emotional scars for our characters, in which we needed, like, time to just come to terms with, because we pretty much dropped an info bomb for each and every one of us. But after that, we like kind of like regrouped and kind of like got back into the swing of things. Another thing, if you have watched Yu-Gi-Oh! GX or so on, or if you didn't, we checked out what was known as the abandoned dorm on the island, because
Jesse heard about it.
yeah, pretty much like heard about it, and it's like maybe there's something there that can like help us, or help explain things, help us reach our end goal of defeating the Shadals and the evil Winda and whatnot. In there we originally, like almost immediately when we walked in, we saw this cat, which Jesse picked up and dubbed Jasper. But the cat always looked at him like when I said it's Jasper, like really? What? And just it's a cat, whatever. So that's when Jesse got a cat, in which I guess I'll say it now. Which turned out that cat was named Julie, and she is a cat girl thing that can just like change forms from like a cat into what appears to be a dual spirit, and then just like a relatively normal looking girl. We're not entirely too sure what exactly she is yet, but
we have reason to believe she is a dual spirit, because when we use hard light machines, basically, if just gonna keep breaking it down in case you're not familiar with Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, honestly, I'm not the most familiar with it, but hard light machines
Basically, the hard light machines
turns-
from Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5, if we can crank it up, it can turn actual holograms into solid vision, where so you can actually physically touch.
Yep, basically what I was gonna say. So thank you, Saji. And right, we had and the abandoned dorm. We saw like what we believed at first to be the ghosts of students that had died there in an accident that we had learned about during the time skip. An accident, like there was apparently some sort of like explosion or something that killed like an entire class. And yeah, so we saw that, but now we're not sure if they're like actual ghosts or they turned into dual spirits or something. And it's
They seem
really
to be repeating like the same
ambiguous.
day over and over again for eternity.
which is why I would say it's literally a 50-50 shot being ghosts or like computer programmed dual spirit things. But yeah, in there we found the hard light machines, and that's how we learned that's how we learned about hard light, because up until this point that hadn't been a thing.
Things where students that were actually inventing the hard light machine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we kind of suspect that the explosion was caused by some sort of hard light machine malfunctioning or something, but that's all we got. We've only been there once, so who knows? Maybe we'll go back in season 2.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know. Also, I know. Shortly after this, well, after the Rescue Andy arc, Leah without a hat, the one who eventually came out of the lab, like digital world or whatever, started working at the card shop, and then one day she just disappeared.
You're ahead. You're getting ahead.
No, not that. Not really.
Yes,
no.
you are.
We did the
We
lab
went to
thing first, and then she started vanishing.
Really?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
first, let's. Yeah. So next point. Since we couldn't find anything at the abandoned door, we decided, hey, let's go back to the Sal Labs, the abandoned lab in the woods, and see if there's anything there.
Fucking huge.
It's huge. It's absolutely massive. And during our exploration there, we ran into Greg for the first time since session 3, and learned that he is a dual spirit of I think Toon Mass
Sorcerer.
Yeah, Toon Mass Sorcerer. And from there we were exploring into that lab, and there was some hard light stuff going on, which we found weird. We learned that this is where we learned Julie was in fact able to talk, was somewhat. We learned a bit more about her being like a person as a thing. There was also some hard light trials that we basically had to go through, where talked about biggest regrets and stuff. The biggest regrets that I think Oliver was not being able to stand up on his own and help than he can. Jesse was, I think that he was being pushed around by his mom. I don't remember 100%, unfortunately. Ayumi was that she was definitely hers was that this was a large character outburst that there's been no precedent for it before, and there's been nothing like it since, which is why I'm bringing this up specifically, where she was talking about how for a portion of her life, she didn't specify how long, she was trying to be the perfect daughter for her dad, and that just wasn't enough until it got to a point where she just kind of snapped and threw it all away. What that means, still up in the air. But yeah, that was a very loud, emotional outburst that shocked everyone, to the point that I think only one person heard when Julie mentioned that she killed 50 men. She didn't say it exactly like that.
She said she killed everybody she loved, which implies that everybody at the abandoned dorm that we mentioned earlier.
Yeah. I think only Jesse heard it at that point.
I'm pretty sure it was Jesse.
Yep. And then we keep going through the lab. We find, in fact, there was this huge ass light machine, and we basically just call the sucker down with a computer, and we find there's another one of those gems like the one that Ayumi found, the one that turned Andy extra crispy, except it's pitch black and starry night sky sort of stuff, and Oliver took it, and it's his now.
It's based in a rock.
Yep, space in Iraq. And then we had a trip to San Francisco, or as Flannery kept calling it, Frisco, even though he didn't want us to go to Frisco, Texas. And that's cool. That's when you got the thing about Leah.
Okay, so jumping the gun a bit early, but so she, like I said, she started working at the card shop, and then one day she disappeared, and we're all like, "Well, that don't make sense." Trying to contact her, nope, that don't make nothing.
Especially because we were in San Francisco at the time when you got the message. Like, basically the whole, I don't know where I am, help me.
Yeah, it's like, well, that doesn't seem great. In which, at this point, find out that there's another Leah with a hat, who is another like computery girl, and except she's not so much like a human, she's like a legit computer. Like she'll instead of saying like I can't find that, like file not found or unknown command, in which she is trying to delete Leah without a hat. Confusing, yes, because she is seen as a virus who just isn't supposed to be there, and Jesse's freaking out. Jesse's just like, "Don't do it," and she's like, "I can't. You can't override my command. Like, I can't override this command." And we're like, "Fuck, fuck, fuck, fuck." And then Andy's like, "Here, just store them on my phone in PDA." And then like that worked. And Jesse's like, "Oh my god, I know you killed my dad, but thank you." And she's like, "It's the least I can do." I'm like, "Awesome." And now she's been stuck in my phone for the rest of season 1 and into season 2, and hopefully some point season 2 can get her out of there.
Yep. And so basically, whilst that goes on, because we had to run back to the lab for that, the next couple days, cult shit starts really ramping up. We basically just kind of tied the no victor thing to the cult. We're like, yeah, they're pretty much the one and the same. So we're like, okay, we're gonna need to get ready to go into the well, just fucking take them out. SEAL Team 6, this shit. But there's also been, there's definitely been some how do I put it? I think Saji put it best when he said Oliver went from like super happy-go-lucky to definitely more upsetty that he's not been able to really help all that much when it mattered. Even though literally none of the player characters or NPCs blamed him. It's just that, internal doubt sort of thing. And so that's when he and Jesse decide, we're buds. We're best buds. We sleep in the same dorm. We're practically brothers. Let's have some talk.
Talked about all their insecurities and what they meant to each other and what they could probably do to maybe better themselves or change in the future. They understand each other.
Yeah,
it's a very boring conversation, we know.
Yes, very boring. Enough to almost put you to sleep. So if you ever want to relax, fall asleep, I think just put on that conversation, because we're just talking about our internal feelings, our motivations, and how we can better one another, which is quite frankly boring.
You sure you're not salty about Flannery?
Why would I be salty?
Not at all.
Not at all. Okay, then after that, was a big thing that followed was
a little backstory about that.
I am
about it.
Because we didn't talk about it. Something that a minor sub thing that had been going on was that something or someone dubbed as the Dual Reaper was going around the island at night, beating students, and then I think it was taking their cards.
It was destroying their cards,
destroying their cards, legit, ripped, they were ripped and whatnot. And so Jesse took action, which is something he normally doesn't do. Which, why did he do that? I don't know. You might have to watch season 2 and find out. And he's like, all right, I'm gonna put an end to this. Also important to note, this was this was the night before we decided to try to like take on the cult head on. So it was, I guess, poor timing in that regard, but
Very poor timing.
but so he tried to sneak out, but Oliver woke up, in which Jesse, being charismatic that he is, just told Oliver he just had to use the bathroom, and
With
he thought
his backpack
nothing
full.
of it. With his backpack and he's with his backpack on and fully clothed, he just had to use the bathroom at midnight.
Like fucking 2 a.m. in the damn morning.
Yes,
That's
but so he starts heading out to like the woods, because obviously that's probably where he'd be, because probably wouldn't be on this main path, because why? Or he would have been caught by now. And Julie, his girl cat, also snuck out with him, and he's like, well, I can't go back to the room to drop you off, because then he'll definitely be onto something. But so he goes check it out, and what he thought may have just been like, just some like upperclassmen terrorizing like freshmen or whatever, slowly turned into a different reality. And by that, Jesse essentially descended into hell. It was like like the way I pictured it, it was like for like the field spell card, like Forgotten Paradise, where it's just like a barren, like dead wasteland, in which he had to try to navigate through, in which multiple times he found what was the Dual Reaper. And he may have beaten him, but it wasn't technically quote unquote over. The Dual Reaper had to be defeated, was it like, say, 5 times? Do you guys remember?
Yeah, a
A lot of
large.
times.
Regardless, he had to be defeated a lot of times, and I guess the gimmick was that it wouldn't reset. So like whatever I had in my field was still there when the duel resumed. Cards left in the deck, so on and so forth. And cards, weren't destroyed. Like they weren't sent to the graveyard. At least not all of them were. Some of the cards were legitimately like destroyed. So as a result, I lost like about 5 important cards to my deck as a result of this, but getting ahead of myself. So every so often him and Julie would navigate through this area that isn't normal, which isn't part of the normal island, eventually coming across the Dual Reaper enough times in which Jesse was finally able to put an end to it and defeat him, and get back to Duel Academy, to the world, before passing out, only to find that during this time, Nick, the upperclassman we were talking about earlier, who was like, a joke, pretty much a joke character, turned out he has a bigger role in like what's going down in the island, was also trying to, take out the Dual Reaper as well. In which Nick dragged him and Julie back to the dorm and was like, what the hell? What are you doing? And like Oliver's like, what fam?
What, man?
Yeah. You fucking what?
Yeah, like he fucking what? He went to the bathroom
For 6 hours. But yeah, Jesse got back. He was also having some like. It turns out later, maybe because of that, he was having some weird blackout spells where he wouldn't like physically like pass out, but he would just like I'm at the red dorm. I'm gonna go to the school, and then immediately, how'd I get to the school? Just like blanking out in some of these things, and it was really awkward when it happened during conversation.
Yeah, because it would just.
Oh yeah. Then, but like I said, that's just stuff that really happened later on. But since it's relevant now, I figured I'd explain it. Then the day of the raid on the well came, and because we were very careful and told no one that we were going into the well, we descended into the well. We did our SEAL Team 6 stealth mission in. I think there was maybe 1 or 2 just random guys guarding the caves. Jesse and Oliver dueled one each. Ayumi literally knocked one of the motherfuckers out because why risk a shadow game when you can just punch someone out and not get a shadow game? And then we got to the main chamber of the volcano, which was a cave, not a cage. And
Yes.
and there, we had learned basically one that the cult basically just wants to use Ayumi as a vessel for someone. It's basically the plot of Naruto, where Orochimaru wants Sasuke's body as his vessel, and yeah, we're like, yeah, no, fam, we're not having any of that shit. And so we go to duel them, and then the leaders of the cults are revealed to be Jesse's dad, Ayumi's mom, and like
Jesse's dad again.
Jesse's dad too. So
His
Jesse dueled Jesse's dad won. Ayumi dueled her mom, and Oliver dueled Jesse's dad too, because he's got to meet him sometime.
It's important.
Oh yeah, by this time we had investigated the cave to the point where we had retrieved our original decks and a bunch, if not all of the other decks that had been stolen over the course of the years, whatever. And so we duel them. Ayumi beats the person imitating her mom easily, and then she just kind of poofs into a poof of smoke. And then Oliver beats Jesse's dad too, pretty easily. And then Jesse's struggling to beat his dad.
But it was also revealed that the person taken over to be Jesse's dad, not Jesse's dad too, was actually Alexa, who is a triple S ranking student and is, pretty good at the game.
Triple S blue, which is the highest you can get.
Yeah, whether he's like which triple S on the top 10 or whatever it is, he is pretty damn good. But eventually, through the power of friendship, Jesse is able to win, and it is at this point he also gets the Stardust Dragon, which is one of the signer cards, which, like the number cards, are a big deal in this. So we'll have to see what that means for Season 2.
Yep. And then basically after that, things winding down, and there was essentially some stuff going on. I'll let why don't we just I'll go last for this one because mine requires a bit more background information.
Oh, all right. Well, a lot of us had a big old date night with our significant others, or at least characters that we have a romantic form of interest with. Oliver was the big gay with his girlfriend for a good majority of it. He returned her deck to her as he promised from a while back, and they had a good old time chatting, although it was like a 5-hour conversation about her deck. But he sat through it because he loved her.
Because he's a champ, and he was hoping that he could get laid at the end, but put out.
Now hold on.
Oh, the fucking phone.
You're saying she didn't? But, yeah, that's basically it with that. Jesse, you had an interesting day.
Jake, I know you may be saying this out of spite, but as you know, I was very drunk for this game.
No, you weren't. This was not that one, Cole.
I just don't remember this one then, honestly.
With
I'm
the
not
good noodle umbrella.
Oh! I still don't remember.
God damn it,
It's
Cole.
been a long day with this cat.
I forgot.
Basically he's talking to Julie, and Julie's like, yeah, I've been dead for like a decade or 20 years or something. Like, do they still have bingo? Jesse looked at his PDA and was like, last bingo game was like 1990 something, and he's like, yeah, they just stopped it.
I remember this now.
There, now, do you want to take the lead?
Yeah, and she was like, "Oh, Jesse, I love you," and Jesse's like, as
No,
like
you-
as like a friend, right? Just so basically, confirmed or unconfirmed, Julie is friend zoned. Because I mean, let's be honest, fucking a dead cat girl is kind of weird.
Cole?
What? But it's also
You missed-
anime, so fucking anything can happen.
Cole?
What?
You missed the part where you went to the beach. And everything that happened after that.
Maybe I don't remember.
So let me continue then.
Yeah,
Just-
you know what, I'm just gonna shut up for now.
Julie's like, hey, I want to go to the beach. Just like, but you're a cat. Don't cats hate water? I'm a cat girl. It's like, oh, okay, I guess it evens out. So they go to the beach. It was raining. They didn't think this through, but they still go swimming anyway. And yeah, because Jesse's in her. Jesse got cranked that Soldier Boy, aka the hard light machine, as we just call it the Soldier Boy because you know we are kids from the 2000s, and so Julie had a physical body, so they were playing around in there, just swimming, splashing, having ice cream, and then sometime through the date, Jesse got his first kiss by kissing Julie, and it was extraordinarily awkward. And then he went back and cooked salmon, and Julie tried to have a romantic candlelit dinner with him, but Jesse just didn't understand it. And I'm pretty sure that was the entirety of that day.
I'm gonna have to take your word for it, because Chief, I legit do not remember any of this.
It was so traumatic you blotted it out.
I legit don't remember this.
I
That's
can't
funny.
remember too much about that event either, except that
I don't
like,
remember.
the
Yep.
salmon candlelit dinner was like, take a seat in cat form.
I
whole time.
just remember the bingo, like, oh, they just canceled it.
Oh dear.
Oh, we'll have to get it.
We'll have to
next
do
time.
something else. But yeah, so that was Oliver and Jesse. Now Ayumi, like I said, she requires a little bit more elaboration, unfortunately. Basically, it had been revealed early on in the season that Ayumi had gone to an all-girls school for middle school, and as is somewhat stereotypical of that, she had, as she calls it, her gay phase, where she dated girls from from her school, because that's just kind of what happened. And as someone who I can affirm as this, someone who's living in Japan, that's honestly not that weird. It's not that out there. It's kind of common, but it's not really common for these guys. So he was like, so I'm not gay, blah blah blah. That was a phase, and just kept getting brought up to the point that it was like, okay, you got it, you're not. And then Ayumi's neighbor, Jen, this person that is probably on screen right now, or not, I don't know, is like, hey, yo, you're cute, and I like you. You want to go on a date? And I usually like, like, how about not a date? Because I don't like that. I was like, okay, we'll just friends. It's like, okay, totally not a date confirmed. It was a date. It was completely a date. So they do some like cutesy stuff, like, you know, go to the pond and feed some ducks. They go and have lunch, and that's when Ayumi learns that her roommate Andy and Jen's roommate Missy have been spying on them the entire day. And Ayumi gets mad, like almost like unbelievably mad, to the point where Jen's suggestion of, hey, let's fuck with them by making them think that we're actually a couple, made sense to her, so she went along with it. And they basically ended up making out, and more, unless I'm getting my terminology mixed up, Jen more or less got to second base with Ayumi in that she was able to touch the boob to sell the illusion that they were together. But and then they called out Andy and Missy about that. And after that, Ayumi was basically just thrown into question of, okay, do I not like girls or do I like girls? And that was that. Like I said, took a little more background information, unfortunately.
That's a majority of season 1.
Yeah, like I said, like he said, it's the majority. You got the big context necessary. If you want all the context, you can watch through the some odd episodes that we have. But if you do that, more power to you. Not necessary, I don't think.
Now we're gonna move on to the NPC segment.
Yep, NPC segment, just,
Now note, I will try to have a picture for all of them. I don't have access to all of them, but I will try.
If not, we will supply artist renditions. I don't want to. Just kidding. Don't want to put them through that.
No, I mean, it could just be stick figures.
True, but anyway.
Anyways, so you got a list that you want to go down, Saji? Said you made it?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, I'll let you go.
Starting with Nick, as we've mentioned a few times in this summary here. Basically, yeah, he did start off as a joke, but then over time, as we got to know him more and actually been through, these near-life variant situations, we learned the more serious side to him. And he is pretty much just the dorm senpai to pretty much everybody.
Yeah. He's like a combination of, like, I'd say 90s surfer bro and mid 2000s skater dude, and there's like, yo baby, I don't know, but then he will randomly just go super serious.
Trivia,
and, like,
for you that don't know, Shockmaster was actually originally Nick's, but now it's Ayumi's.
Yeah, because Fate card said, Shockmaster's like, yo fam, this girl be strong.
He also had
I'ma go with her.
91, which was also his, but that's still a mystery in the air.
I don't know if that's the case. I think Flannery might have misspoke.
No, like
he might have misspoken.
There was a moment where we were talking and like the number 91 appeared on his chest.
Like I said, because I have 16, and that's 91, I'm not sure if Flannery misspoke or not. Yeah. Well, I can either confirm or deny. I'm just going to say, I'll take that with a grain of salt because I don't remember. If you're sure, I believe you.
But yeah, anyway, as I mentioned before, we also call him Thunder Bro as his nickname around here. I mean, he uses a thunder deck, and as the two numbers coincide with the element of thunder, it's pretty much his gist. Next one being the aforementioned stalker from earlier, Kyla, who was the original owner of the Millennium Necklace prior to Oliver obtaining it. Basically, she was 100% a stalker because for some whatever reason, I don't know why, there's no explanation for it, the Millennium Necklace only ever showed her visions of Oliver. Not weird. And so on forth. In time, she eventually made it to a Duel Academy and was just following him around. She even uses the same deck that he originally used, which was the Fluffle deck. And upon Oliver, getting the Millennium Necklace from her after being rejected by it, he learned a little bit more about it from her, and she's essentially just a strong asset because she's also a pretty good duelist.
Yeah, I think that sums her up pretty good.
Can explain this one to Alexa.
Alexa, yes. Alexa, triple S blue student, basically like top, but definitely a bit of a stubborn, like very stubborn and I would say a bit of an inferiority complex based off his propensity to, one, physically fight people, and two, physically fight multiple, like, to the point where he is overwhelmed and hospitalized for, like, a month. And then Ayumi just comes in and is like, yeah, I'm just gonna, like, I'll duel you. Yeah, this is a garbage fire deck, and I know you said you're some stipulations that you're not gonna use your extra deck and limit your summons and stuff, but I still got very close to beating you, which is, like, embarrassing. And then there's also the fact that I beat you both in a kendo match and in a fist fight on, like, your grounds for boxing. So I am now the strongest person on the island. And he has 3 identical, like, he is a quadruplet, but he has 3 sisters who are identical. To the point that we just call them the clones, because no one can tell them apart, except for maybe like 1 or 2 people. And yeah, I think that sums them up pretty good. Archie, my man.
My man Archie.
Where do we begin?
Basically,
no, I would say he's a superiority.
He just looks down on them.
He has a superiority complex despite being, like, bad. He is a blue student who only became blue because of daddy's money. His deck is, like, good. He just has no skill. And Ayumi has helped him on several maintain his status as a blue, and kind of memes on him. Thanks to her, he legitimately thinks Crimson Sunbird is a
powerful card. Yeah. You see how gullible this guy is.
Yeah. But I think that sums him up pretty good.
Alright, we're in the waifu territory, and we're starting with Angel.
Yeah.
Which is Oliver's de facto girlfriend in this. They actually met up in the session 0, where she didn't have a face claim.
Yeah, no one had a face claim then.
Yeah, no one fucking did. She was pretty much the proctor for the entrance exam. He told her, beat her, and she gave like a promise or something like, maybe later I can like give you like a fluff of wings for your deck, because your deck kind of needs it, make it better. Later on, he actually obtained a card from her known as Gods of Sweet Revenge, which was a card that she had for a while. It was like a old card that she had as like a kid or something, and it had like a lot of spiritual energy within it. But before being given that card, Angel as well lost her deck, and since Oliver was the one who asked to see her deck before it went missing during the huge turbulence, she pretty much or with good reason was like, okay, this kid probably did something and took my deck, probably like a good lead or whatever. But after Oliver showed me that he really didn't know anything and was legitimately very much trying to help, she felt bad, gave him the card, and things kind of blossomed from there between the two of them.
Yeah, and I would like to also point out that it is apparently a character thing that Angel, like, damn near cannot duel with any deck that is not her Ancient Gear deck.
She's
Which is
capable
why-
of using other decks, so is Machine. That's like her favorite type of thing, but she's like so much more comfortable with Ancient Gears. It's the big thing.
I'm just saying is that she was downgraded because from raw to red because she was one because of the Proctor duel that she lost, and two because of the fact that she wasn't really getting any wins when she didn't have her Ancient Gear deck.
Yeah. Next waifu is Leo's.
The Leahs. Well, as we touched on beforehand, very important distinction. Leah without a hat is what?
Jesse's favorite Leo with a hat and favorite.
Yes. So Leah without a hat is the one currently stuck in the phone as like a bunch of ones and zeros, aka data, and then Leah with a oh god, it's confusing for me. Leah with a hat is the one the one that's pretty much a computer, behaves like a computer, whatnot, and tried to delete Leah without a hat because seen as a virus. That's pretty much it.
Like, you want to like delve into what Jesse sees in them or whatever?
I can do that, yes. Leo without a hat. Just seen as like, like no, fuck, Leo with a hat. Jesus Christ. This is a roller
Here,
coaster.
Cole. Computer Leah. Phone Leah.
No. I mean, I'm staying consistent, damn it. Leah with a hat. He sees Leah with a hat as kind of like a friend, almost like are you really? He's more into like, are you really just like a computer? Do you have like any sort of like thought for like what are you exactly? And then he sees Leah without a hat as more of a love interest.
Okay.
I was gonna say something else, but I couldn't think of it. But that's it.
A love
It's also
interest.
almost very
Also,
obvious that Leah without a hat likes Jesse.
Yes.
Oh, God,
yes,
yeah,
I think that should also have been stated.
She has the biggest like happy lady boner for Jesse.
Yes.
Now for Jesse's second waifu, Julie.
At least it's not two of the same person with and without a hat. But no, Julie,
Just wait
as we
until
said
season
earlier,
2.
she's like a dead cat girl cat.
A
sort
girl
of.
who turned into a cat.
Girl who turned into a cat and can just shift and whatnot. Very confusing, very unclear. But he sees her more of like more like as a friend, and like he wants to like, I don't know, because he feels bad, like everything that she's gone through, and that like she's practically like alone. Like, while he doesn't just hang out there sorely out of pity, it's like at times he'll feel obligated to be like, oh, I feel like, let's hang out, do whatever you want, I guess, because obviously you've had some bad shit happen to you.
Just wait until season 2, where you're introduced to Julie with a bell.
Fuck, please no, I can't balance all these people.
And as Cole stated previously, Julie is indeed thirsty for Jesse.
Very, very thirsty.
Obscenely thirsty.
Like,
Speaking of
imagine
thirsty, Jen.
Jen is, once again, obscenely interested in Ayumi. To the point where she's like, yeah, I'm just gonna like, you want a date? Oh, it's not a date, but okay, I'll turn it into a date. Because even though I'm also mad that my roommate is spying on us, I kinda wanna touch your butt. And so she did, and she's been, from the minute she was introduced as a side character, was in the bath in the bathhouse of the island because, Japanese style anime. Everyone has a hot spring / bathhouse. She couldn't keep her hands off the jiggly bits, so we've always known her as like the thirsty lesbian, but once she found Ayumi, she basically just is like, and my hands are magnets to you. And, oh, I'm just gonna keep kissing you, because you're not sure if you're gay. And Ayumi's like, well, shit, fam, I don't know if I'm gay or not, or if I'm kissing you, because it's like, man, I've gone years without any sort of, like, romance. And that's Jen.
Okay.
She's
Not
also
like I am.
surprisingly wholesome at times. Like, absolutely surprisingly wholesome.
At times. Which is not one of the jiggly bits.
It's literally like a 50-50. She either wants to touch the boob, or she wants to talk about how she wants to make sure that people are comfortable with themselves and stuff like that. It's like, oh, that's surprisingly wholesome.
Now, we have a teacher here. Jesse's Kawakami. Lee.
Yes, Professor Lee, who is the red dorm's like
Lead.
staff. I don't know the word, but pretty much she like lives in the red dorms and is like the upperclassmen red dorm and is like the staff making sure nothing like crazy goes on. And
She's kind of bad at that.
she is bad at that because she's an alcoholic, like a really bad alcoholic, to the point where she just, when it's her time to teach class, she just usually just passes out. And
She's also a bad alcoholic in that she went along with Ayumi's plan to produce alcohol on the island.
yes,
That's pretty bad.
Oliver and Jesse, stopped it for like a day.
A day.
Her drinking problem.
yeah, but that didn't last, and nothing was really gone forward with helping that problem since then. But Jesse, who is very new to the game, whatever, and is just like, well, she's a teacher, she's smart, I'll ask her questions about card games. It's the foolproof plan. And so yeah, he pretty much will be like, hey, what does this do? And she's like, oh, you brought me a pot of greed. Well, this allows you to draw 2 cards. And Jesse's like, oh, from where? You're dead. Oh, that makes sense now. So yeah.
I was drawing a picture of 2 cards.
Now, I know me and Cole don't have, strong feelings on this person, but I know Jake does. L.
That
on, King.
son of a bitch. And not in like the you son of a bitch good way. No, like the fuck you. He is the card shop owner at the end of the second act of DARP. Just kind of vanished. So we didn't have a card shop owner. So we couldn't buy cards. But that's fine, because when we first got he gave us, when we got our new, quote-unquote, new decks, after our original ones were stolen, he gave us, like, I can't even call them bottom-of-the-barrel dregs. They were, like, worse than that. And then, even though I won a duel, and I won a bet, even though I lost the duel with Alexa, and he gained 50 free DP, which is Kaiba Land Fun Bucks, aka, your Chuck E. Cheese tokens to use on the island, which apparently he can use for real money. I don't understand the process. He didn't, one, give us a discount on our decks, and 2, when I bought my Cyber Dragon deck, he gave me a defective one that was made with experimental cards. And so I hate him for that. Because then I had to go back and was like, yo, bitch, give me a new fucking deck, otherwise I'm gonna wring your neck out. And then he did. And the deck was so much better because it was a regulation deck. Also, I think he's a villain.
Also, going to one of Jesse's bestest friends on the island that helped give him a sugar addiction, Kels.
Oh yeah. So, for a little bit of context, growing up, on top of being groomed to be the next champion of Dungeon Dice Monsters, he was also raised to be in the most perfect health wise, so he was not exposed to like any sugary treats, strict vegetables, white meat kind of diet. So one of the first people he met outside of the main cast of characters was this person named Kels, who was a second year raw.
Yes,
I think so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure second year. Who was he's like, hey, you seem kind of cool. Have a soda. And Jesse's like, what? And he's like, you've never had soda? I'm like, no. He's like, try it. And Jesse's like, whoa, this is the greatest thing since corn. And for a while they would be like, hey, and just have, chill out, have a soda, be bros together. And one day, they're hanging out and talking. Kel's like, you seem like a kind of guy who'd use like heroes, like a hero deck. Jesse's like, what is that? And he explains it to him, talking about, hero decks and some of the things they can do. And Jesse's like, I'll check them out. And that's why, as you'll notice in Season 2, Jesse's main deck is a hero deck. And it's all Kels' fault. Kels is the reason. Depends how you want to look at it.
Yeah, that sums him up pretty good.
Yeah.
Yep. Another one of Jesse's boyfriends, Raph.
Raph. We don't know much about him other than he is Andy's gay best friend.
And he did have an interest in Jesse at first, right?
I don't know. It was implied, but that could also just be.
Yeah, I think it was implied, but nothing set in stone.
Yeah, we also think he's evil.
Yeah, we think there's something going on with him. Either he's either directly evil or he's controlled evil.
Mm-hmm. He's also part of the film club at Duel Academy.
Yeah, he is. And he's
Yeah.
trying to offload film club work onto Ayumi.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
See, we have Wheeler, who is pretty much the tech guru on Duel Academy Island. He helped update our PDAs, as I mentioned before, and with all these fancy gadgets and stuff.
Yeah, and now he's the tech guru in the coma ward hospital.
And yes, his name is Wheeler, and he is in a wheelchair.
It's very unfortunate.
It's very.
I think he lost the use of his legs in a horrific skydiving incident.
I don't know I don't remember if it was said or not. So.
I don't know. Even if not, that's my headcanon.
All right, well, that's the headcanon.
Leave it if you want. There is the Chancellor, whose name is Red.
And he is absolutely inept at his job. He literally sent in a bunch of students to deal with the cult problem. So it's basically like Chancellor Shepard from GX.
Or like any principal or person in power in anime.
Yeah.
You know what? I think we'd take the Shepard over this guy.
I would take Shepard over him in a heart, because at least Shepard had the cyber arts on.
Shepard was also cool.
Yeah, he was also bald.
This guy, all three of us have strong feelings about. Alistair.
Fucking shitty magician.
We have two of them. We have strong feelings about the Dual Spirit guy.
Yeah, Alistair, the Invoker. He's a dual spirit that, right now, he has literally done absolutely fuck all for us. Every time we call him forth, it's like, oh, I'll clear a path, and then he fails to clear a path. Or, oh, I can help you out with this. I don't know about that, fam. And then we're like, well, you're goddamn worthless. Get the hell out of our sights, and we send him away.
Yeah,
Like,
so
he
pretty
was-
much he was set up to be someone we can go to for help when need be, but he has been the opposite of helpful when
He's
need be.
Absolutely worthless. The most use that Ayumi's gotten from him is, hey, you said that apparently there's Shadal, then there's the like Big Mama Shadal, and then there's the person controlling Big Mama Shadal that's probably like a god. How do I kill a god? And then he's like, well, shit, fam, I'm gonna go look and see how you kill God.
Sure, alright. We have so many better alternatives to Alistair, to say the least. Now for the other
God.
Alistair, the human Alistair, Oliver has more of a connection to this one because with the Millennium Necklace, Oliver has the ability to, for some reason, talk to past Alistair before he became a spirit. It's confusing, even I don't get it. Basically, Oliver goes to him for more information on certain things, and he's even infinitely more useful than his Invoker form.
Yeah, I'm not even sure.
Downside being, this guy gives him, like, the downside being, this Alistair gives Oliver too many damn spoilers.
Yeah, I mean, there's also the was it confirmed that the Alistairs were one and the same?
They were one and the same. It's Season 5 Duel Monster stuff. It's a thing.
Oh,
There's
okay.
also, like, another one out there.
I wasn't sure if it was just, Flannery just trying to be confusing for confusion's sake.
Yeah.
But
Basically,
okay.
we have basically two Alistairs, one's more useful, but, they have a lot of cons.
One's dead and one's a spirit.
Yeah. Those are all the important NPCs that you need to know going into the second season of the DARPouts.
Yep.
And that's been the recap of season 1. And I think pretty good. That only took about an hour, give or take.
Hour 30 minutes and 22 seconds.
Cool beans, cool beans.
Awesome.
We'll hopefully see you in season 2.
Yeah, check it out. Join the Discord.
Links
We'll
in the
talk.
description.
Yeah, we'll talk. We're in there. We talk. We post memes. It's a good time.